Let's be honest, most people suck at budgeting. Now, hear me out. You probably started off really great, doing strong, maybe using an app or pen and paper, but nevertheless, you were doing great. And then life happens. Now, today we're gonna break down how you can create a realistic budget and stick to it. Not something that you're just gonna forget about 2 months down the road and be burnt out with. So first, let's start off with the different types of budgets. Now, you may be using an app, or maybe you do prefer the old school pen and paper type method. Maybe using spreadsheets, but either way, you're manually putting in these numbers. And it could work great for you. There's pros and cons of using either or. Personally, I like to use an app. It has all of my bank accounts and credit cards that are automatically imported into it, and I can easily put them into different categories and expenses. Now, with that, it's easier for it to be out of sight and out of mind. You forget about it just like the other 50 apps that are on your phone, or the ones that I never even look at. There are some that I randomly get notifications from and I don't even remember downloading it. Now, with the manual part, it's a lot easier to be more aware, and you're having to physically put in every single dollar, every single cent. But this can exhaust you quickly. Now, depending on what type of style you like, if one's not working for you, maybe try another. If the apps aren't working for you, maybe look into which ones work best for you. Personally, mine is the Every Dollar, where I'm literally putting in how much I plan to make that month, and as well as having my wife's income in there, and we have every single bill, whether it's something that's on a subscription, maybe it's rent, maybe it's something that we're using just for us, like her getting her nails done, or me going golfing, or whatever it is. We put that in there until that budget is zero. Now that also goes into savings as well as any other payments that we have. So it's not just you're spending your whole paycheck, but it's making sure that every single dollar is going to a specific allocated position and nothing's being wasted, and that way you can stick to it longer. Now, for some people, they might not like that. They might like saying, this is how much I'm getting paid and this is the amount that I want to spend. Everything else, it goes where it goes. Now, if you don't like using apps and you do prefer the old school method, then maybe trying out different Google spreadsheets or Microsoft spreadsheets is gonna be what works best for you. That is the first thing to look at, is what works for you. What do you know you are going to stick to? What do you prefer? Do you think apps are just going to get lost in the background? Or do you think that with the pencil and paper or a spreadsheet online that you're just going to get burnt out having to manually input every single cent? It also comes down to, what does your budget look like? Are you able to spend an extra $50 to $60 a year, or maybe $5 to $10 a month on these budgeting apps? Or do you prefer sticking to putting in that money in an envelope and not having to spend the extra cost? That kind of comes down to what works best for you. Personally, like I said, I enjoy spending that extra $10 to $15 a month. That way I don't have to manually go in and insert everything. I go in once a week. I make sure everything's going in the right categories, the right expenses, the right incomes, and then I'm good. I can look at the different breakdowns because everything's right there in front of me. Now, if you don't like that, then go back to using that pen and paper or the spreadsheets, and that way you can make sure that you are seeing every single thing come in. There's different types of people that like different types of things. The first is identifying, what do you like? With all that being said, that brings us to our second point, which is just do it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't worry about the different systems and how many different apps there are, how many different budget types there are. The first thing is you have to just start. Don't wait for the perfect system or the perfect app, or have to go through 50 of them to find out what works best for you. The first thing is making sure that you enjoy it, and then it's making sure that you just start. Now, when starting, a big thing that people do is they don't really have a goal in mind. They just think that, oh, by putting all of my information in here and then saying I want to spend this amount a month, that's it. Now, the whole point of a budget is to have a goal in mind. Maybe it's to pay off debt. Maybe it's to save money, or maybe it's to save up money for a specific vacation or tuition or something. Having a goal in mind keeps you on track and you remember what you're doing this for. Now, like I said, the biggest mistake is saying, I'm gonna wait for the perfect time to budget. I'm gonna wait until next week. I'm gonna wait until my next paycheck comes in. That is not the best way to do it. I have struggled with budgeting for years, but the best advice that I ever got was just being told to start it. Don't worry about trying to overcomplicate things. Don't worry about waiting for that perfect system. Just do it. The faster you start to do it, the better you'll get at it. It won't be perfect when you first start, and that is okay. When I first started budgeting, I was terrible at it. I was trying to say I'm only gonna spend $100 maybe in a 2-week period, and I kept just blowing over it. And that started kind of making me feel like maybe I shouldn't budget. Maybe I should just kind of go with the flow, which maybe that'll work sometimes, but most of the times it's not. I've had to really put in the effort, as well as me and my wife get on the same page when it comes to these budgets. Because if you're trying to just save every single dollar, then you're gonna have to be very, very strict and responsible with that. If it's to make sure that you are getting to a certain point in your life, then you're gonna have to set those goals and the standards that meet it. But the best thing is, it's not gonna be the end of the world if you go over that budget in one category or another. You could always try to take some from a different category that you haven't spent as much in and put that back into the one that you overspent. It's learning, and it's getting more in tune with what your habits are and how you can help adjust those where needed. Just because it's messy doesn't mean that it's gonna be the worst thing ever. Doesn't mean that you are gonna never have fun again or never go on vacation again. Quite the opposite. It's to help you get to those points where you're not stressing about money, where you're able to enjoy the money and have that money work for you. Like I said, using the every dollar budget, I'm able to see what goals I'm setting. And by the way, this is not a paid promotion or anything. I just really enjoy it. And so you're able to set up all of these different goals and be able to figure out what you're trying to do. You can also go like you are right now on YouTube and learn specific budgeting techniques for each individual app, or maybe just the spreadsheets if that's the one that you're wanting to do. So if you get anything out of this video, just get this. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start. Everything else comes with experience and learning from your mistakes. Now I know I literally just said,
so if you get anything out of this video, just get this.
Well, there's another one that I need to tell you about, that life happens, if you haven't figured that out already, and unexpected expenses pop up, whether it be a vet bill, a hospital bill, maybe you have to go somewhere and you're spending a little extra money. It happens. That budget is gonna get messed up. You're gonna see red and you're gonna go over stuff. It's okay. It's about learning and adjusting to what you do. Learning your habits like we talked about. Now, just because that happens, just because maybe you have a bad month, maybe a few bad months. I have bad months all the time. But what you don't do is quit. You pivot, you learn, and you grow from it. That is the only way that you're gonna get better at anything. Whether it be budgeting, whether it be saving, personal finances in general, getting out of debt, not getting into new debt. It's about learning and growing with it. So just because that gets a little messy doesn't mean that you need to throw the whole thing away. Like I said, I've started so many different types of budgets. I've used so many different types of apps, and I'm guilty of this too, where once that budget doesn't go my way, I think it's the budget's fault, and I don't think I should budget anymore. But at the end of the day, it's on me. I have to stick to it. I have to go above and beyond it to make it work, because that's what these apps are for. They don't put limits. They don't put stops when you're trying to spend on stuff. They tell you what you're doing. So if you want to change what you're doing or even better yourself in different spending habits, you have to learn from it. You have to grow from it. You don't throw away the whole ship just because you got one little scratch on it. Now, personally, the last time that happened and an emergency came up was when we had to take our dog to the vet because he had some stuff going on with his skin. We weren't expecting it at all, and it came out of our savings, and the budget was all messed up. And at that point, we really thought that we should just quit budgeting right then and there, because we were like $400 or $500 in the hole because of that, and it just wasn't what we were needing it to be, and it made everything seem so much more complicated. But we stuck to it and came out happier in the end. We were able to adjust from different spending methods, like we stopped going out as much to restaurants or ordering Uber Eats, which is a guilty pleasure. I know, I'm right there. It's so simple. They make it so simple. When it comes to these budgets, life happens and life gets hard. You stick to it and you come out better on the other side. So at the end of the day, know this: budgeting is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. As long as you are tracking what you're doing and improving, or at least working to improve, you're doing it right. Congrats, you're budgeting the correct way. You don't have to track every single penny and where it's going, where it's come from. You just are trying to get better at your spending habits. No budgeting app or method is gonna do that for you. It's about you sticking to it and improving it. Now, if you wanna learn what budgeting apps I like, other than the EveryDollar by Dave Ramsey, drop it in the comments and ask questions about an app that you're thinking about, or check out other videos on my channel where we go over different apps and the ones that I really enjoy. But again, that's my opinion. It might be completely different, but at least you can get a better understanding of that app itself. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.